Quite shocking.
All right, everybody. The hour is upon us. So like call to order the property meeting for August 11th, 2025. Roll call. Yep.
Yes.
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 Certification of open meeting law requirements. Mary? Yes, thank you very much. Okay, we've got a 12-item agenda.
Move to approve.
Motion by Doc,
I second.
second by Renee. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? None, motion carried. Okay, everybody got the minutes from the July 14th and July 31st minutes. Any corrections, additions? If not, I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Rich,
Second.
second by Doc. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? No, motion carried. Okay, number 6 is a public comment period of 15 minutes. Members of the public will have a 15-minute block of time to comment on today's agenda items. Members may be present in person or call in to make such comments. To comment by telephone, please call 715-538-1894. Public comment may be extended or curtailed at the discretion of the committee board chair after advisement by the committee board. All right, number 7 is Samuel's group update. Kurt, you have the floor.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Kurt, put your microphone on. Thank you.
So progress to date, phase 1, which is basically the majority of the second floor, still ongoing. The painter and the drywall is finishing up there, going to be working on finishes, and then mechanical and electricals will wrap up. They're still targeting that sometime end of September, move into that bigger area up there. Tim's area 1B, the guys are telling me they're still waiting on the mini split. I think that mini split is scheduled to come in this Friday, so that mini split will be wrapped up. We're still waiting on some doors and hardware for the data closet there that's supposed to be here the last week in August. And then for phase 1C, I think they're going to be moving in this week into land records area, and that's wrapping up, and so we're close.
Then it'll be available.
Okay.
Whether she chooses to do that or not.
Okay, gotcha. So I guess we're on track, we're on schedule. The mini split, again, we're waiting on those elements that are there. We did have our ceiling contractor wasn't able to come, so we had to rephase some things, and then we've been dealing with some VAV delays. And then Jeremy did inform me that we did have some air issues last week with some drywall dust, and I think we were able to clean some of that up to the point where some of that air quality was cleaned up, but that was an issue that had happened last week, so.
Yeah, just to touch on that, it was just, there was a lot of concrete cutting going on, and then with some of the HVAC work, when they were cutting into the duct work, it lowered the amount that I was able to filter through the air through the HVAC unit. So then we had Samuels bring back some bigger filters, but I know it caused an issue for at least 2 employees that were on the second floor, so we tried to doing what we can to keep the air quality as best that we can. But that's one of the reasons that, like I said, land records will have the availability to move into their office by midweek, but because of the way that the hallway is not very user-friendly at the moment for public to come up to see them, they'll probably stay where they are for at least another week or 2 until the sheetrock and ceiling is done in that hallway. So it's a little bit more friendly for people to come from the public.
Okay. And then my team's been working with Jeremy on being able, that 1D, that next phase that we're going to move into, there's some timing of moving departments around, and we want to make sure that we can keep you guys open for business like what Jeremy's been saying. So my team's been working with him, and I think the coordination has been good, so.
That's good to keep that up, to keep it user-friendly for the general public to come in.
Yep.
And safe, too.
Yep.
Thank you guys for that.
Yep.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
Anybody have any questions for Kurt?
Suppose next month, then you can give us a little tour
Sure.
of that, be ready to go.
Yeah, we can
Maybe.
take you a tour after the meeting, absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yep.
All right, anybody else have anything? If not, we'll move on to number 8, IT Department. Tim Robertson.
Morning.
Morning, Tim.
Morning.
I think I handed out sheets of paper to everyone. I'm not sure it is all the correct stuff because I don't have the right number of copies over here. So if you get confused, don't worry, it's not you. So first of all, the first sheet of the budget process is the summary of the expenses. You guys seem to like looking at that. It's always entertaining. I can go through each individual item. The very first line of the 2026 request is 210 professional services, and that is in fact the second sheet. So we will just table that and come back to that. Next line is just our phone chargeback, so that's the 5 Zoom lines we have in IT. I charge myself back for that, so we pay the bill in IT, and then everybody pays us back for those phones. Fax, I pay fax bills for the entire organization. We're able to reduce that. Faxing appears to finally be dipping. We pay for what we use, and we were averaging about $150 to $200 a month when we first started this project, and now we've had bills as low as $50.
That's good.
So fewer and fewer organizations are requesting medical records via fax. Hopefully this trend continues and that bill will go to nothing. Repair and maintenance, I've kept that at $2,500. You'll see that the 3-year average has been considerably higher. That's been skewed by the $10,000 we had to pay in 2024 for the cyber incident that required a insurance deductible. But so generally we find 2,500 is about right. Office supplies remain unchanged. Postage, the same. I'm reducing the small items of equipment, and it doesn't, I'm having a struggle with that. The costs of monitors and keyboards and mice is going up. I think we're just gonna have to make stuff last longer. If you've got a 19-inch monitor and it's kind of clunky, I'm sorry, we just don't have the, I gotta find places to cut, and this is one of them, and I feel like we can get that number lower. So we're gonna try. Better to come back and ask for your forgiveness later than to budget too much in advance. Computer services and supplies is a category that's strictly for the IT department. No other department will come forward with this line item. It's one that I've gradually been eliminating. It used to be what we paid for toner out of. But now each department pays their own toner bills for any printers that aren't under a service contract. I pay the bill for the service contract, but if they have a printer that's outside of that, they pay for the toner. So I no longer pay for any of that, so that's being eliminated.
Can I ask you a quick question, Tim? Do you have many departments who have their own printers?
Well-
Or the majority of them go with your printers?
Yeah, that would be clerk of courts. The state provides the printers, but they have to buy the toner.
Okay.
I really wish the state would just let us provide that and do a service contract, because it'd be more affordable for all concerned. They don't get to pick out what they want.
An extra one, short, page 2.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
I knew I was missing somebody. Yeah, so, yeah, they get printers that they don't consider the long-term maintenance of the toner that you're required to buy for them. Some of them are expensive. Mary Lee is trying really hard to use the less expensive toner printers, so that's going well for them. But there's not as many as you think.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah. Continuing education, one single 2-day class for like VMware to get my staff up to speed would cost about $3,000 a person. So this money is hardly touching what we actually need to stay on top of our stuff. But I've never had the ability to find a way to raise that number. It just means my team spends more time reading and learning than formal classes. So in order to stay on top of it, they have to do a lot of research. So, and they don't complain about it, so I guess you guys are okay. But membership dues, that's typically our GIPAW membership. And then the travel and lodging and mileage have remained the same for the last 5 years. I always ask for 1,000, you guys always knock it down to 960 in exec finance, so.
Gotta cut, you gotta cut.
So everybody got a professional services sheet now? Sorry about that, Doc. This sheet is in flux. The number at the bottom you'll see is about $16,000 less than last year. But the highlighted numbers are the ones that need the most review because there's still some information to be gleaned yet this week. ACS is being replaced officially January 1. Avenue will no longer be our primary ERP and payroll vendor, but there's material to keep track of. There's things Mary's going to need to do. There's things admin's going to need to do in the old system as we transition. I budgeted for the entire year. I'm hopeful that that does not come to pass, that we are able to quickly accelerate into the new solutions and reduce that amount dramatically, but I felt I needed to budget the entire amount because it's best to plan for the worst and hope for the best. Archive Social, that number was budgeted for $6,300 in 2025. The bill came to $7,300. That would have been their third 20+% increase in the stupid product in the last 2 years, and I just can't pay that anymore. We've not had a single request for information from that program. I already explained to Corporation Counsel the problem. It means that staff will have to, every time they make an update to social media, will have to do a screenshot and save it as a PDF file. I can't keep paying big money to something we never use. And now watch, of course, we'll get a bunch of FOIA requests on our social media, and this will all blow up in my face. But I feel like I'm being held hostage by some of these software companies. They just keep raising their rates. The Aristotle appliance, that number remains the same. It's a fantastic utility, but I'm going to have to talk to the managers to see if they want to continue with that, because some of the security elements of that are redundant, but what it does provide is a tool if somebody needs to verify what's going on with a staff member that's working remotely. This tool allows you to see exactly what anybody's doing. It's a great management tool in addition to being a security tool. But if managers can live without it, we're gonna just stop paying for it because I can do the security elements somewhere else. So still on the fence on that one. Bastion is the Register of Deeds program. That number for $14,200. They have stayed the same price for quite a while. I'm waiting for that shoe to drop, but darn good company, Fiddler. Really like them, and I think they appreciate them down in Register of Deeds. BOMGAR is the tool we use to remote connect in, and it meets all CGIS and HIPAA requirements, so our staff can provide remote connectivity and connecting to devices. Certificates, unchanged from last year. Freshdesk, I only put a small increase in, but the reality is they've been raising their price as well. That's our help desk software, and we track everything through that, so it's kind of a critical piece. Edemia is the fingerprint machines in the Justice Center. Internet remains the same through TCC. Intradyne, that's our email archive appliance. IT software and security, generally we end up paying for Adobe Pro licenses out of that each year. JotForm is the forms tool used in land management. Laserfish is used in multiple departments. And managed print services, that's the number that I pay to cover the cost of the copiers and all the printing utilization. I'm shrinking that number. I could probably shrink it more, but you never know. 2026 is going to be an election year, so printing numbers might go up. Otherwise, that number could be reduced quite a bit because staff are printing less. WatchGuard, that number is for a product that they don't want to support anymore. In fact, they don't want to support it so much they never send an invoice. So hopefully they'll just keep not sending an invoice and keep supporting the product.
That'd be nice.
I really don't know why they don't want our money, but We're no longer have NeoGov, that's being replaced by UKG. Nixle is the program that Richie got back in 2017. They still charging us the same amount from the original deal, Rich. Yeah, you must have scared them or something. They don't want to raise the money. Office 365, slight increase there. There is some talk about adding Copilot, the AI tool for the organization. I'm getting some numbers accumulated on that. We may be doing a test run with that for some. We feel like there may be some utilization in admin and other areas where we could use that tool, where it would only be internal. So you query the AI tool, Copilot, it could hit everything that we have inside the organization and not share back with the AI out on the web. In order to do that, we have to buy an enterprise license, and we're still working out the details on that. So we're going to leave it at 48,000 for what we have for now. Pro Phoenix in that motion, I budgeted 72,000 last year, anticipation of an increase. It didn't happen, so I'm scaling that back to actual, 69,000 for next year. Pro QA, a slight increase is expected there. The security EDR is the first highlighted item. That is mostly going to be reimbursed by grant, but I'm told that I have to keep that in the budget. So the money would go back into general fund once the grant is paid. The same thing has happened this year. I budgeted and paid $19,800. They're so far behind on the grant payment process. I have no idea if I'm going to get that money yet this year. He's still on second quarter reports. So the staffing has been cut dramatically at his agency, so he's desperate, trying to help us out there. Solar Winds is a systems information and event manager tool. We're hoping they don't increase costs there. And then the next three highlighted items, I do not have a number yet. That is our Tyler Munis ERP, which is replacing Avenue. Tyler Tech is our new replacement for Catalyst GCS. And UKG is the new HR and payroll. Now, because they're all either going into effect here in late third quarter this year or first quarter next year, there should be warranty and maintenance that covers the first year. So we may have zeros for some of these, and we may have to come up with a full year's support for the following year in November of 2026. I'm still reaching out to account representatives on this. Right now, it's a mix of implementation managers and a whole bunch of people that aren't involved in that, so trying to pin down exactly what that number is going to be, I don't know yet. So I will, once I have those numbers and the budget is finished later this week, I'll send a copy of the full budget out to the committee via email. Veeam Backup, that's a monthly subscription. Vesta 911 budgeted $41,400. Last year, I haven't paid any of that because it hasn't been implemented yet, as we're all painfully aware. I still don't know for sure what that number is going to be. So working on that, and hopefully we'll have better answers by the end of the week. They have been informed that dispatch will be moving in October, whether they're ready or not. And everything short of violence has been threatened. Vector Spec is the tool used in veteran services. Zoom meetings, Zoom phones, those are contracted. 2 more years on those contracts. And then Revise website is unchanged. We were hoping to do a search for a new website provider in 2026, but our new communications director is still getting her feet underneath her. I don't know that she's going to have time to throw a project like that together. Maybe a refresh will happen, but we're not anticipating an increase in cost yet in 26. All right. So that leaves if you look at the last sheet, it would just be the totals of where everything comes from based on, it pulls for wages, it pulls for fringe benefits, pulls for everything. The numbers I can't provide are the CIP numbers, which previously were in accounts underneath my 4150 department code. Now they're under a different section of the budget process. I can tell you that $42,500 was budgeted for capital projects in 2025. So that's in addition to the 1.9 million, 1.009 million, there was an additional 42.5 that was part of CIP. This year's CIP request is $48,000. We covered that back in June, I think we discussed that. It's mainly for some networking equipment, because we didn't know what when the building is finally finished for being remodeled in 2026, we expect there to be some cabling and additional things that we're gonna need to cover outside of the scope of the work that was provided there. So we just threw some money into the networking for that in case it's needed, in addition to a replacement of 2 routers. So the actual total of the 2026 request is $1.003761.86, but you have to add 48,000 to that, what my department's budget is actually accountable for. And then there are still those key missing numbers, some which may get removed, because the Vesta, we might not get charged for that at all next year. Some that might get added back in. So hopefully by the end of the week, I'll have those answers for you. That was a lot of stuff. I'm sorry about that. Any questions?
Under 2025 projected IT revenue chargebacks, the 19,878.70, is that the security ERD grant?
Nope, I don't have any projected revenue. I didn't count that as revenue.
Oh, okay.
So that's.
Because it just
when
goes
they-
back to the general fund?
It just goes back to the
Rather than in
general
your
fund.
budget to offset? Okay, got
I
it.
don't have a rollover account to keep things in anyway, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll let the next director deal with a rollover account. I'd rather just go by the seat of my pants and not have money sitting somewhere. No offense to those that do, but I don't want to carry something over. If we run into a problem, this committee's been excellent about making sure that we can get what we need in a hurry in a sense of an emergency, so I don't see any reason to have that.
The only reason I ask is that would, and I'm not disputing what you're doing. When I did budget, it just reduced the levy number by the revenue.
Well, the 2025 projected column, this isn't my form, this came from admin. It's basically taking what was budgeted, subtracting out what was paid by the end of April, and then the balance is in that column. So I'm not sure I understand what's
What
going
was
on
used
with
there? Okay.
what that use for that was, but I fully expect to get the full $33,000 back in the chargeback this year. Actually, it will be more than that, because we have agreements with some other police departments where they're paying for Renee's services, so we'll get
That's
some money
nice.
from that.
Great, thanks.
Anything else?
So adding on that 48,000, Tim, your request is going to be just like short of 102,000, a little bit up from last year, is that correct?
1.051 million.
Yeah, okay, yep.
So, yeah, a lot. And that's, until we get those final numbers from these vendors as to when is the support and maintenance kick in and what are we gonna have to pay. If it's a monthly number, I may be able to shrink this budget number. I'm not gonna hold my breath. So we'll keep working at it, and then I'll be working with the admin office pretty closely on making sure we get the sure numbers, because with a lot of things up in the air about when we actually go live, I don't know when they're gonna charge those. Anything else? So, additional items. It's officially come to pass, the Doge cuts to MSISAC. We are now gonna have to pay for our subscription, and it's not gonna be as useful, because there are gonna be several agencies that won't participate, and it's gonna create a bunch of holes in the government security net. It's very disconcerting to me. The subscription is gonna be due by the end of September. It's an unbudgeted amount I'm gonna have to come up with. If your agency's budget is a certain amount, your total general fund budget, then that's how they determine your subscription. The first payment in September is gonna be an 18-month subscription, so I don't have to include anything in next year's budget. I'm just gonna have to come up with funds from my account this year. I have the funds because of things that remain unpaid, like that $41,400. So I'm gonna go ahead and pay pay that out, it's based on so 100 million, if your budget is less than 100 million per year, it's $2,000 is what they're gonna charge us. If it's over 100 million, it's 100 or more, it's 5,000. We're just over 100 million last year, and I'm gonna make a few phone calls and see. That doesn't seem fair, that we would, just because we spend a couple thousand extra bucks, we have to pay more than double the cost. So I'm gonna make a few phone calls and verify what that's gonna be. So I'm expecting to be cutting a check for 2,000 to MSISAC. It's an absolutely essential service for us. They provide a lot of the key notifications when there's threats to municipal government, and they've been very helpful. We just completed the CIB audit, and I say we, primarily Renee and Dustin completed the audit. CIB is, and CGIS are going NIST, which is a much more stringent security requirement. It took a huge amount of time for Renee and Dustin to get that done this year. And Renee's working with other departments, Whitehall and Oliva PD, to help them get that as well. This is becoming really burdensome. I'm gonna have to update about 15 different policies in September to meet the requirements that CIB said we had to do. So there's probably gonna be a revision to the IT security policy. I'm probably gonna have to add a law enforcement section. I spoke with Susan. She said it's appropriate to add it to the existing policy. We don't have to isolate and create a whole separate policy, but it will require dual approval. So when I bring policy updates to you in September, some of which will be related to security items, there'll probably need to be some sort of closed session item to go over the changes in security policy and the reasons why. The policies themselves can be public, but why we're doing them and the requirements that it's going to require us to undertake, I'd really prefer that. I'll discuss with Susan, and we'll make sure it's appropriate if it is a closed session material. We will also need to have another meeting with law enforcement committee because they're going to need to approve the policy changes as well. And I'm told that that's acceptable, right? Okay.
My understanding is there's no budgetary aspect of this, so we won't need to go further.
Right. So look for some policy updates coming next month. And that's all I got. So anything else?
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. Anybody have any questions for him? If not, all right. Next up is the IT update. Mr. Tim Robinson just gave us that. So, maintenance department and renovation draw schedule up. Jeremy Medina. I forgot to check you off, Tim.
Good morning. So I'll start with, first thing you guys probably noticed when you got here this morning, it was a little bit stuffy, warm in this room, as well as the second floor. We had power outages here over the weekend. A couple of them were a little weird because the power went off and on, and it screwed a few things up. Most of it I thought I got over the weekend when I was here, but two of our air handlers tripped out, and the frequency drives that control them were constantly throwing errors. So there was no supply or return going up here for most of the weekend. So as I ran out earlier, I went and got that one fixed here for the second floor. The first floor one, it's still giving me issues, but I have it locked in like manual control. So when I'm done here, I'll go downstairs and try to figure out what's going on with that. Also, looks like I had some damage when the power was fluctuating like that to the dishwasher in the jail. So I'll have to go take a look at that again this weekend, or after this. But when I opened it up this weekend, one of the circuit boards was smoked. So I doubt it's going to meet the requirements for like an insurance draw, because I think our insurance copay is like $5,000 or something like that. And it's probably going to be $4,800 for the part. So, but I'll know more about that later today. One of the elevators in the old section of the building also tripped out over the weekend during the power outage, and that's the one that the construction crew is mostly using in the old jail. I got that one running back up again this morning too. So I'm not super prepared this morning. I got here a little early to get prepared for the meeting, and then I was only in my office to grab my tablet to come up here. So
FYI, I'll jump onto budget. I didn't bring anything with you, but I will email you guys that, but just, I'm pretty much done with my budget, and there's only a slight increase on a few of my line items. And most of them are having to do with either salaries for increases, increases on supplies, gas, and probably electric, but there's no more than a 3 to 4% increase on each one, and that's just for the increase that I'm given by those utility providers, whether it's Whitehall Electric or Midwest Gas, anything like that. It's not a significant increase, so in some of them, my snow budget, I actually took $2,000 out of that and added that to a different line item, so I'm just shifting money across because of the 3-year trend of what I've been spending. And the fact that I'm not renting the skid steer anymore, so that I could lower the cost of my snow into that. But I'll send you guys, and I'll highlight anything that has a significant change, and it'll show what last year's budget was versus what I'm asking for next year. The only things for that are outstanding for this year on my capital expense stuff is I still have some plumbing that I'm going to be removing from the fire alarms, or from the fire pump system in the old building. But the prices that I got last year to set my CIP for this year, all those prices have gone above and beyond what I was able to budget for because of, as they tell me, costs from stuff from increased tariffs and et cetera, et cetera. So let's say I had $9,000 budgeted to remove the fire pump and a few other things. Well, the prices I'm getting back now are $11,000 and $12,000. So I'm trying to find a workaround for that, because what that entails is I have a fire pump in the building that if the fire department were to hook up to the building on the stanchion pipes in the back, it would help increase the pressure. I don't need that anymore because the trucks themselves have the stuff in it that I need. But if it's in my building, it needs to function. So I'd rather get rid of it because it's 15 grand to fix it. It's going to be 12 grand to remove it. It's going to be a lot better to just remove it. So I'm in the process of working on that one. Next year's CIP stuff that's coming out is I'm looking to just do seal coat and line stripe of the parking lot. It's just where they make it blacker again, and then you get new fresh paint. So that will be both of the parking lots. Try to do that about every 3 years, give or take. Some additional signage that'll be needed for the remodel portion of the building over there. I have some in CIP for this year that I hope to purchase for the second floor when that one is completed. This would be for any additional signage that we want to do, since it's going to be a drastic change of the layout of the building. I want to make sure we have as much adequate signage as we can so people are finding what they need quickly. I've also put in a request to buy some furniture. Again, these are just the CIP requests that I'm going to put in. Whether they get approved or not is kind of up to admin, exec finance, and the board as a whole at that point. So, but since we're having some more conference rooms over there, looking at trying to add some more tables for that, replacements of some desks and stuff, so we're kind of a uniform all the way across the board. And then I want to add some stairs to the loading dock. If you've never really noticed it, it's probably never stuck out to you. The loading dock right now, when you come out of the loading area, it goes down to like a handicap ramp that runs back around to where the dumpsters are behind the fence. When we have truckers come in order to get to that loading dock, you have to get behind the fence to get up to the ramp. So I'd like to just add a set of stairs on the outside of that ramp, so they're not, because there's only a little space in between the fence, and most truck drivers don't fit through that little teeny hole, and it's much better to not have them trying to climb over my fence and then, get hurt on our property. So I'll highlight those so you see what the costs associated with those are for next year's budget. So jumping back onto a few other things too from earlier, the air quality in the second floor. Again, it was mostly just concrete dust and then inadequate air handling because of our unit. So a lot of our ductwork, they cut giant holes in because they were replacing either fire dampers or just upgrading some of the ductwork. So instead of running all the way down to like Corporation Counsel's office, there was a giant hole down by where Land Records used to be. So everything was dumping all the cold air right there and only pulling in. So last week I did call WHV because we've had some
issues with them finishing, whether it was the VAV or getting ahead of schedule on some of their sheet metal stuff. So after I discussed it with them, had some conversations with Tad, they sent looked like about 9 people out last Thursday, and they really got a jump on that. So my air handler that feeds the second floor, it's actually tripped out right now because of the power unit. So again, when I'm done here, that's one of the things we'll go look at, but then we'll start filtering the air system over there a lot better. When it comes to change orders for that project, so with the $20,000 that you guys approved last week for the ceiling changes in that other building, out of the contingency right now, we've spent $24,757. I'm still waiting on a credit back. One will be from Winona Heat and Vent because we changed the style of fire dampers, and it was an estimated, from what I saw from Dominic, is about an $11,000 credit that we'll get back from that. I'm waiting to hear back from Banco and Hudson Electric because we did walk the old jail last week and removed a bunch of the fire system devices that were I kind of mentioned that to you guys before, where it was a little overkill. I think we removed almost 60 devices in there, but still kept it adequate for the coverage that we need. So that could be a credit, and anywhere between 9 and who knows how much, but it will still be a credit. So just with those 2 outstanding credits, if we take for 9 and 11, we're only about $4,000 out of contingency, as it sits, rough estimate right now. I know there's some stuff out when it comes to the fire caulking in the second floor hallway because of the change of the fire dampers and stuff. So there's still gonna be a few, but there's only been the one that we've had to bring to you guys for the ceiling one. So the rest of them have been a couple hundred here, a couple hundred there, and then there's been quite a few other small credits that I've got back too. So at least we're keeping that pretty balanced right now, so that's been favorable for us.
Keep the credits coming.
That's what we're shooting for.
And to focus
Keep-
on energy too, you said you're gonna get something back.
And
from
that'll
that,
be,
too.
yeah, that's outside of the Samuel stuff, but that's when I'll turn in the receipts that I have for the LED fixtures and stuff. Once they're all in and completed, and then I can submit pictures that they're in, then I'll get a credit at some point back for that too. Touched on the power outage that we had this weekend, VAVs. Timing of the construction schedule over there, so some of the things have been pushed back a little bit, and then while IT has been able to move into the space that they have moved back out again because of some of the dust, the air quality stuff, and the traffic that's in that second floor hallway. It's just not conducive for business for the most part. So this week, they should be finishing up the sheetrock that's on that second floor hallway and then starting to get that ceiling done. And I've talked to Tad about this as well. We'll start, eliminating some of the stuff from that hallway as we can. And then I had a conversation with him that when we start the first floor, that they can't expect the same style of first floor hallway because that human services is going to be still active. So all of their toolboxes, all that stuff, we won't be able to have in the hallway like that. So it's been addressed, but like I said, we need I know that Kathy from IT had an issue this morning because one of the doors was propped open in IT and there's still dust coming into there, settling over their stuff. So we'll deal with that. Maybe have to try to get another big air scrubber up there again to, especially when they're mudding and sanding that sheetrock in the hallway. So this week we'll be going through the outside a little bit more in detail than we normally do, just because it's beef and dairy days here in town this weekend. So we try to make the outside look as best as we can with the amount of traffic that we have coming through town. We put up extra garbage cans around the perimeter of the building because I'd rather just empty some bags on Monday than pick everything up off the lawn like we've done in the past. But with that's coming up, there's one addition to my budget that I'll highlight when I send it to you, but that's going to be the maintenance that's going on at the radio towers throughout the county. I've done a few things in the past, but I've kind of taken over some stuff that emergency management has done in the past, the oil changes on the generators, the maintenance on the generators, and then we added mini split air conditioning units to each one of those. but I've had a discussion with Brett about it before and Bo. So if I'm adding $5,000 to the maintenance on my budget, then it's going to be, some of that's going to end up coming off of theirs because the sheriff's department had budgeted it once. So as a whole, it'll be offset, but it's just not going to be super noticeable unless you point it out that he's going to lose a little bit off of one, so it's just transferring over to mine. But I'll highlight that so you see it as well. And this week, on Wednesday, I'm hoping to meet with Samuels and I think it's Valley Supply to do the key schedule again for the new building, so that we're going to be keying that building so that it matches this building. We'll be adding a few more key systems so that, not your department, but the treasurers and registered deeds that have a key will have a key that just does their area. Human Services will have keys that just do their areas, and then there'll be the master keys that fit everything else. But that way, the deputies at the front door have a master key that opens everything instead of carrying multiple sets of keys because of the different lock sets that are in the building. And it's just convenient for maintenance that you only have one style, so. Other than that, I don't have anything that's been catastrophic. It's been a fairly decent month. A lot of it was playing catch-up when I got back from vacation. But we're pretty much squared away on all that stuff. Everything, with the exception of the power outage issues, is functioning as it should.
It is or it isn't?
It is, other than the few things that I've mentioned between the dishwasher, the two
And
air
the
handling units, one of the elevators, and a handful of other small little things, everything else is running as it should.
But the air handlers for here are all brand new. I mean,
Yeah.
my question for you is why? I mean,
This is
in the elevator over there, that's an older system I can see.
This
And
is
I
a-
know when
this is
power
a
goes out and
power-
it comes on, it's the worst thing for it.
Yeah, this is not like this is more of the control side of things that just didn't reset. So at least for the ones that I've worked on right now. So it's just a matter of, I don't know how to correlate it to something that you might have at your house, but it's just a computer that runs the unit didn't reboot itself in the appropriate way.
And is there a fix to that then, so it doesn't
That's what I'm
happen
gonna find
again?
out when we're done
Oh,
here.
okay.
The one upstairs, like I said, I got that one running, but it's the one downstairs that I have to run manually at the moment that I didn't want to dig into it too deep because I had to come up here for this. And I wanted it to be running so that it wasn't 86 degrees in the sheriff's office while I was up here. So again, once we're done here, then I'll go figure out what's going on with that. But that one is, like I said, it's a computer control issue, and that guy from WHOE is actually here if I need him, so. But Saturday, we had some, what did we get, like 4.5 inches of rain or something like that around here?
A lot of, some loud cracks too there was,
Yeah, it was,
But it only went off, even at home, my clock, they went off and come back, right back on. So it was so short where it shuts everything off and then everything starts back.
yeah,
up.
here it went on and off, and then it was off for maybe 45 minutes, and then it came back
So
on
we
again.
didn't have that there.
And then with the amount of rain, because after I came in Saturday for this, then I went and volunteered at that Ashley for the Arts, and we got so much rain that was just a swamp down there. I mean, a lot of their porta-johns had floated away and flipped over, and not as bad as Milwaukee that I seen over the
No,
weekend
I
where
see.
the state fair got flash flooded out and everything, but it was enough to cause some issues, so.
Jeremy, I got one more question. Is that you said that you're gonna go do that maintenance on those towers and stuff, and that's actually billed through the sheriff's department. And you were gonna transfer it to yours on your budget?
Just the
Can't you
funds.
just code it? Is there a code you can put and then they just automatically take it out of the sheriff's budget, so you don't have to put it in yours, or I'm just asking?
I think, in my opinion, it would just be easier if they deducted theirs by an X amount of dollars, and then I added into mine. Because other than that, then I'm gonna have to check with Carol from time to time to make sure, you know, because my bills will have to go. If it's in my budget, I'm the one that does all the finances. It's easier if it's in mine than trying to check with a different department, so.
That's right.
And I've done that in the past with a few other things, like the shredding. I used to bill every department, and no, I just took that away from every department, added it to mine, and then just do one bill.
Makes sense.
Any more update on the new dispatch center?
No, I am the lowest one on the pole for that particular project. I get told
Tim?
when we're ready to go.
October?
They've been threatened with everything but violence. And
Okay.
it was October that they know because dispatch needs to move as part of the next phase for the construction. So they're aware, and
About a year late,
a year and a half.
Year and a
late.
half.
yeah.
And shenanigans. We can talk later. It's a long and depressing story.
Yeah, because that particular project, I am there for physical, labor, and moral support. That's really about all I'm there for that one. I have one small component, and that's it, so.
It's gonna take something to get Renee out of that dispatch center, though. She's gonna have both hands on the door jamb. trying to- Yeah, it's a nice space.
Hopefully it will get done then in October. It's all in your hands, Tim. All right, does anybody have any other questions? Thank you, Jeremy.
Yep.
Okay. Next up, discussion of county property. Susan, did you have a meeting on that or not?
So there is a meeting scheduled for August 19th, and it's in the Wisconsin room, that the invitations went to the commissioner, the treasurer, land records. I know Supervisor Becker was on that as well. And so the purpose of that meeting is essentially to identify county properties that we no longer perhaps want. This is going to involve county board, so this is just a real initial meeting. And then what process do we want to do to, lack of a better word, get rid of those properties, or how to sell those properties. And so this would be, again, it's an initial meeting, but that's the goal. It's going to take some time. There are a lot of legal issues with all of these properties. It's going to include, how did we get it? Did we get it through a foreclosure? How do we, does it need to be surveyed? So there'll be a number of issues that once we get to the point of actually having our meeting, we'll have to work through one by one. So,
Well, good.
I don't know.
Thank you.
Yep.
I appreciate you keeping that ball rolling down the court here because we got to get this, we'll get some of that property back on the tax rolls and help the taxpayers a little
You're
bit.
welcome.
And why should we just have that land sitting there doing nothing?
Well, it increases our risk as well. I'm obviously going to look at that, and any time that we have a property that we don't have a legitimate use for, it's going to increase our, yes, it's going to increase our legal risk in a number of ways, and then we need to work through that.
All right. Anybody have any questions?
Most of these properties are the ones that we talked about at Highway Department, right?
Yep, yeah.
The small little areas.
Right, they're not,
basically.
there's a couple nice big chunks, but nothing like 100 acres or nothing.
Yeah.
You're talking a half acre here, acre maybe, and a good example of the 1-2s that we had at the highway department was town, I can't remember what township that was, which was rich up north.
Yeah.
That they replaced the bridge and they built everything through the county, but it was on a township road.
Right.
And then the engineers wrote down Trempealeau County on all the permits, so it's in our name on the state bills and all that stuff. It's our bridge, our land, but it's not. The engineers screwed it up by titling it to the wrong people.
And we'll
And
have
we gotta
to,
get that straightened out,
we'll have to look at that because typically the clerk has to help accept any sort of county
Yeah.
property.
And the fault there lies not with the clerk, because our clerks are great. But that was in the engineering department. They just did it and nobody caught it.
Just out of curiosity, how long ago was that? Do you know what year that was?
Oh, I don't know, 8-10 years ago maybe, I think it was. It was quite a while ago. But, then we got a bunch of them where the state changes the way you come onto a state highway. They all got to be 90 degrees, so you move it from at an angle to here, and then you got all this property just sitting here that is doing us no good. We got to maintain it and stuff. So we just thought it'd be a way to get back on the tax roll if somebody would want it. So, all right, Susan, what time was that meeting on the 19th?
It's at 2 p.m. and it's in the Wisconsin room. And if a fair number of you are looking at it, I probably should publicly notice it. If you guys want to tell me later, right now it's largely staff and Supervisor Becker, so it's not a public meeting, but just let me know.
All right. Does anybody have any questions on that for Susan? All right, if not, we'll go to number 11, confirm and time for the next meeting, September 8th. Good for everybody? Does anybody have any problems in September? That works for me. All right, well, then we'll have the next meeting on September 8 o'clock, and we've achieved everything on our agenda, so we will say this meeting is adjourned, and we will close the comment period. Thank you all for coming, appreciate it.